Welcome back to Backroomconvos. I'm your host with the most, Lesego M, Daddy Pod, aka Teacher Short. You might get a chance to call me Daddy like Cairo. Listen, if you are a fan of pods, please stay tuned because you might like what we're cooking. We have a lot to touch on today. Song of the Day is Allowed by Nasty C, which was a part of the Bad Extensions album, which is a debut album of Nasty C. It was released 2016. That year I was doing matric, I remember. The song is 2 minutes 59 seconds long. On Spotify it sits at 891,527, which is not a bad song, So I've been in talks with myself, of course, like looking at the expansion of the podcast. This might be a part of like the intro song to the video episode, but we'll see guys. How's your Friday afternoon, man? Mine is amazing. I'm going to church for the Christmas, to spend the Christmas at church. So I'm very excited to see some of the people that I haven't seen in a long time. So I get an opportunity to see those people. I'm very excited to see my uncle Bro Steve. And I think I've touched on it, on who Bro Steve is, on the first episode of this particular podcast. I did speak. So for those of you who haven't listened to that episode and you want to know who Bro Steve is, go out and listen to the first episode of this podcast. You get to know who Bro Steve is. So yeah, guys, there's a lot to touch on. Yesterday I was supposed to touch on the subject of the Minister of Transport, Sindisiwe Chikunga. She is a Minister of Transportation in South Africa. So she's been in politics since 2004. She's been a part of the ANC since 2004, for those of you who didn't know. And she started her works as a Minister of Transport since March 2023, for those of you who didn't know. So the minister was born on the 9th of November 1958, which puts it 65 years to date. So I want us to talk about this. As I said, we were supposed to touch on this a while back, but we had too much content to put out that we kept on postponing the issuing out of this particular content. But today I decided to start with this content so we can speak about it. There's a lot that's going on. She was involved in a hijacking where she got in that hijacking. Was it a hijacking or a takeover? I don't know what it was exactly. So the tires were punched. He got a punch out of the cars that they were driving. Of course, they also have like VIP protection, and those VIP protection guys, they took their guns, and it was a whole dilemma with that thing. So news came out later on. For those of you who want to read more on this, I suggest that you go out to the website called Defense, where you get to see the numbers or everything that I'm talking about, which was a review by director Warren Oliver, who highlighted that the VIP protection has what you call this, and they invested 3 times more in the VIP protection than the SA Air Force, the Department of the Air Force, in like the SANDF, the military. So VIP protection they've been invested more in there. But that happened, and those guys who were robbing them, they took the guns of the VIP protection, who was supposed to be protecting Sindisiwe Chikunga. The news were on the internet, and I just want to get your take on this, guys. What do you think? We are investing more on this, but less is done, And I know a lot of people on Twitter, they were making jokes about this, but this is a serious concern. We are investing more, but we are getting less. And if people see, like outside of our country, like the VIP protection is so weak that even the people are taking chances with that. You know what I mean? I was like, well, we might say it's an inside job, but guys, it's VIP protection. Let's be realistic. You know what I mean? So I'm going to read out the difference. So in the previous financial year of 2023 to the previous financial year, the financial year spending of 2023. I said the previous year. So the financial year of 2023, So they invested 3.4 billion on mobile and static VIP protection, which includes an addition of 1.7 billion in mobile VIP protection. This is stated, and 2.25 billion was allocated for the Hawks Crucial Crime Fighting Unit, right? Also, in total, I get it. So a lot has been invested in the VIP protection, guys. You know what I mean? A lot has been invested in this, and for us to see this, that even the SANDF, which is like the South African National Military, or like SA National Defense Force. I'm sorry, the SA National Defense Force. Which is the SANDF. My aunt would be disappointed with me at this point, because she is in the SANDF. So yeah, the South African National Defense Force. I think, given the situation, I think the funds, clearly this VIP protection is not working. My suggestion is, I don't know, like, why not invest? Like, just scrap the VIP protection and take the funds that were diverted to the VIP protection into the military, and then deploy people from the military, soldiers from the military, and create a unit from there to say, this will be the VIP protection, which is governed by the military. I think in that sense, it would make more sense that we spend less on that, because if we're spending 3 times more on VIP protection, that's less capable of stopping that from happening. And I think the VIP protection was supposed to set an example, which you can't mess with the ministers. And people now might see an opportunity to let's try and do that to Fikile Mbaluda, let's try to do that to Serial, to Ndondon. You know what I mean? Because they've tried it with the Minister of Transportation of South Africa, which is Sindisiwe Chikunga. You know what I mean? Like, it opens a huge talking points or a loophole for criminals to say, we can exploit these people, we can test, we can try the waters to see what gives it. You know what I mean? That's just my suggestion. When I saw this, I was like, I wanted to also talk about what you call this, I know we see these tenders that have been given out and people are eating, so forth and so forth. I know that. And I'm like, well, that might be the case as well, but like, how do we stop that from further happening, or that from happening? I think this is like the solution to that problem, in my opinion, right? So I think that we can do a special force, we can train soldiers, create a special force that will then be a protection or VIP protection for our ministers, and serve as VIP protection in our country. I don't know who the VIP is. It a private contractor, or are they state trained, or like, what's the situation with these guys? I don't really know, but I know we are spending 3 times more than we do on them than we do on the SANDF, so which is like surprising. And we're spending an addition of 1.7 billion on VIP protection, on mobile VIP protection, and we're spending a further 2.25 billion is allocated to the whole Hawks Crucial Crime Fighting Unit. You know what I mean? I wanted to talk about that. And moving right along, man, Zuma launched Umkhonto Wesizwe. And prior to that, guys, I want us to talk about this. Yeah. So Zuma launched, as we all know, he launched Umkhonto Wesizwe, which is his newly formed political party. And before I heard the news, I already knew, because Cyril Ramaphosa released a statement or media briefing saying Zuma is going to make an announcement, like he always does, releasing those announcements that are useless. We should not give attention to that. And I think that was a strategic move to be like, I don't pay attention to what he's going to say. And I think that was a contingency plan. We know he has supporters, but we trying to counter that by this, So their contingency plan was to release the media briefing to discourage people from listening or listening to Zuma. his announcement. And after listening to Cyril Ramaphosa's media briefing, I shared the rumor from Rob Herzog, who's a billionaire as well, who's involved in. And now a lot of you who don't know the face of Rob Herzog, just go to make key podcast and chill and look at the interview with Rob Herzog. You'll see Rob Herzog is that guy. So who also happens to know Elon Musk gave McGee the numbers of Elon Musk to communicate. Boom, boom, boom. Yes, Rob Herzog is that guy. So he goes out on social media. This is a post by him to say, Zuma is going to release a statement, or he has an announcement to make, and that announcement is he's launching a new party called Umkhonto Wesizwe, and he's going to release that. I don't know, for whatever reason. He didn't state his reasons. So what I was unclear about when he was saying all those things, to say Zuma is going to release a media, he'll have a media briefing where he has an announcement to make, and in that announcement he'll be talking about his newly formed party called Umkhonto Wesizwe. And now I started being in question. I was like, okay, let's see how this pans out. And this all happened last week, and I was like, let's all see how this pans out, right? So it happens, we all await the media briefing. Then Zuma comes out, boom, Umkhonto Wesizwe, Umkhonto Wesizwe, which is a political party led by Jacob Zuma. And I'm like, oh, okay, now what's going on here? And he's like, oh, okay, so how did Rob Herzog know, and was he in it with them, or is it the ANC being a part of Umkhonto Wesizwe, or getting the funding from Rob Herzog? And if the ANC feels they are going to use the Zuma political party as the party they vote for, which, okay, people, if they don't vote for ANC, they need to vote for Umkhonto Wesizwe. The structures won't change. Zuma will still be the president, and he will govern the country the way he sees fit, and he'll get funding or backing from certain individuals. That's my first theory, to say maybe these guys might be together on this, including Zuma and Syria. Because I'm like, how? Okay, maybe there's like behind the scenes, paperwork or things that are going on behind the scenes that they have to. There's a protocol that's supposed to be taken, or there's a protocol behind the scenes, that Zuma has to follow before she opens up a new party. Maybe that's how Cyril knows. But Rob Herzog is not in any political party. I've seen Rob Herzog being in support of Clayton McKenzie's political party. I've seen him being a speaker in the DA caucus or the DA meet-up. I've seen him, not ANC, I haven't seen him doing anything with ANC. But I'm like, now, what's going on? Because now, there's also like the 7 names that came up to say these are like the 7 people that control the ANC behind the scenes. Cyril Ramaphosa is just the face of this thing. He doesn't have the say or the tool or the power behind. But the real people who are behind this, they showed Nick Oppenheimer, they showed the Ruperts, your Jonathan Rupert. They showed Rob Herzog as well. And I don't know some of the gentlemen that are part of those 7 people that were in the list. The 4 gentlemen that were on the list, those I don't know. Haven't seen. They've been keeping it low-key. I don't know them. So I'm like, oh, okay. So a lot has been happening. So I think all these people behind the scenes, they know what ANC losing is a possibility, and they're trying to be open to their options. And Zuma might be a contingency plan to say, okay, we'll give you this should ANC lose. And again, I see Zuma again, and like, guys, please enlighten me, because I don't know, Uguti. You open your own party, but the ANC meets, you go to the ANC meetings, Syrian is talking, you are wearing the ANC t-shirt, and people are saying Zuma, and I'm like, wait, guys, like, how do these things work? Doesn't it mean when you have your own political party, you are not invited? Like, I'm ANC, I can't just rock up there to EFF thing, wearing EFF things and be a part of that meeting. I don't know how does it work, or does it work like if you from God, does it mean Uguti since who's this Julius Malema has EFF, right? Can he wear the EFP, the ANC attire and attend one of those, meetings that they do, the annual meetings that they do with the people? So can he do that? Like, that's where I'm not clear, like I need for you guys to break that down and how that works, And let's talk about it on the comment section. I'm your host with the most, Lesego M, aka Shoot Your Shot. And maybe you might get a chance to call me Daddy like Cairo. Let's meet after the break. Cheers. Welcome back to Bedroom Convos. I'm your host with the most, Lesego M, aka Shoot Your Shot. For those of you who just joined us, the song of the day is Allowed by NSDC, which was a part of the project that he released in 2016 called Bad Hair Extensions. I was in matric at that time. The song is 2 minutes 49 seconds long and currently sits at 891,527 on Spotify. Those are the numbers. And before we went on the break, guys, we were talking about Zuma. This Zuma, Rob Herzog and Ramaphosa dilemma. Kodewesizwe in ANC. And clearly, as we all know, Guti, a lot of people, they love Msholozi. So do I. I love Msholozi. And we might have a debate of people saying, Guti, Zuma, yes, he did this, he did that, and with the Zuma era, more black people were eating as opposed to now. We had more black millionaires when Zuma was in power as opposed to when Cyril was in power. Cyril is eating with his friends and family, and Zuma was eating with everybody that's black. The tenders were going mostly to black people, to the comrades, and maybe creating those smaller subcontractors and which is black companies essentially. I know a dude by the name of Katlego who was also I think someone who had tenders. He knew ministers and he got tenders. I don't know how, but it's still, I think it was still when Zuma was still in power. Then I think a year before Zuma stepped down, he was a part of those people. But now I heard that he is living in the States or in Europe. I'm not sure. Married to a white woman. I'm not even sure what those tenders still exist, but I know what he's international now. So that's what people are saying. I know I took it off context there, but that's what people are saying. But there were more black millionaires via tenders with Zuma, as opposed to Ramaphosa, which was more of which with Ramaphosa it's more cryptomaniac. He's a cryptomaniac. Someone who uses state money to fund his personal needs. He's a cryptomaniac. It's a critical state. Crypto is a cryptomaniac. Cryptocurrency. This is like a cryptocurrency. Yeah. Cryptocurrency state, which is a state that uses state money to fund their personal needs. That's what it is. And with Zuma, it was also that, but one was better than the other, but they were still doing the same thing basically. But then at this point people were choosing the better devil, and by saying the better devil they were saying Zuma is a battle, because at least black people had an opportunity to eat, to empower, to give those subcontracts to smaller companies that are coming up, and people would eat because that cycle would go on to say we're giving you at issuing out the subcontract to another black person in the world to build this and this. It's a chain going up high, so everybody ate. But with Zuma, it had a chain where a sequence or a chain of people, black people were eating, as opposed to now where it's there's just a few black people eating. It's more white now with cereal. That's why black people were Msholozi, and people really like Zuma. So, and I was speaking about the fact that Rob Herzog was, after Ramaphosa's briefing, he was the second to announce. Ramaphosa didn't actually say Zuma. He knew I'm sure what he knew, but that was a calculated move to say like we are going to get in front of this thing and release a media briefing so we get less numbers to interact with it, because he has a huge following. I think he knew that, and that media briefing was all that. Rob Herzog came out and said what he said, even announced. It's like Zuma is going to have a media briefing. He's going to announce his newly formed party called Umkhonto weSizwe. And I know he said a lot of things in that video. And I was like, okay, like there's two parties involved and one billionaire. And what's the dynamic here and what's going on? Like there was that question. And knowing Zuma, I wouldn't say I would say he's an opportunist, but also is looking out for his people. And at the same time, I'm like, maybe it's power. And like, you would never say someone until there's money involved. And like, these are like politics, and like there's money, there's deals. And like I said, one has to be a better devil than the other. And in this case, we just hope whatever decision or whatever people decide to vote for, it doesn't harm the state or our country, because now we are at the bottom of everything. I'm going to talk about a bit about the Tanzanian president in a few, and how she fired the entire board of the electricity department because of like consistently persisting blackouts. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. But now I want us to talk about Kanye, moving right along from like the Zuma and politics thing. Kanye announced, like an account on Twitter announced that Kanye is building a city in Saudi Arabia, on top of the fact that Saudi Arabia has a plan to also develop a project called the Line City in Saudi Arabia. And I did give out the details to that. Like Saudi Arabia, they are going to have that project lined up for 2030, which is a line city. Everything you need will be within that city, carbon free and Dondoni, like that city. And even Kanye's project somehow aligns to the city, the main city, which is the line city. It aligns with like the carbon free, atmosphere friendly environment, and even the products, like even the concept or the proposal that he put out, it kind of like complements that of the line city for the people who didn't know that. So Kanye is building a city in Saudi Arabia, which is in the Middle East, and which is according to the report that I got, the city is 2.5 bigger than Paris. For those of you who are wondering the numbers and who's involved with the funding, does he have the money? These are just speculations, and by people. The Saudi prince, the Saudi money, those Saudi guys are like gang money. Those people like are trillionaires, bro. Like those people are trillionaires. I know for sure. And someone was saying the Saudi prince, who's the president, I think he's the guy who's backing Kanye with this plan. And Kanye, for the longest time, he wanted to have his own city. If you remember with Wyoming in 2020, he wanted to build a mini city in that, and the government shut that project down. I don't know why what's the reason behind that, but it seems like now, for the longest time after like that Wyoming deal was shut down and he couldn't build, he moved to the Middle East. For those of you who remember, Kanye at some point released a picture where he was in the desert and he was issuing a date for his upcoming album, and he was in the desert sitting watching the sunset, and they were like, people, he's out there doing the album and doesn't want to be bothered and hope the album is the best or a classic, right? Not knowing that's what he's been working on. So as I was saying, the account came out saying Kanye has a recruitment appeal for project managers, engineers, architects, contractors, and builders, and the trademarks for these ventures were made. He even in 2020, he also had this the name of this thing, by the way, it's Drone Phase 1, and the trademark was put in place in 2020, which includes the ecosystem in Yeezy's verse as cited in the Business Insider. For those of you who read Business Insider, the application was submitted under his company, Mascot Holdings. So for those of you who wanted to know that information, what do you think about this entire thing with Kanye? Do you think he has? And like, being a Kanye fan, bro, like who's not a Kanye fan, man? Even Elon Musk is inspired by Kanye. If he pulls this off, bro, like, I don't know what that means, bro. Like, I don't know, but it's Kanye, bro. Like, anything is possible. And people are like, some of them are like, this is good. Some of them are like, we've been waiting for the album and he hasn't done an album. He's not done with an album, but he's already, there's like all those people who are, I can say they are not positive, they're pessimistic. They are pessimistic. So there's those people who are pessimistic about Kanye, and I think he's capable of doing that, man. He has the ability, he has the brains, and with the Saudi money backing him, man. In the next, I think the 2030, I think Saudi will be in front of everything, bro. Like, given the plans that they have, bro, like the money that they have. Obviously, we know they have oil and all that, and they're leading us with that. And the light city that they're building, which is planned to a comment section. What do you think? And please don't forget to follow, like, and subscribe to get a notification for each and every time we drop a new episode. I'm your host with the most, Lesego M, Daddy Waddy Poet, aka Shoot Your Shot. Maybe you might get a chance to call me Daddy like Cairo. Moving right along to Tanzanian President. So her name is Samia Suluhu Hassan. She fired the electricity board over the persisting blackouts, which is like the blackouts that, like, something similar to what's going on in South Africa. Load shedding, it's going on, and the power rationing. Is it the power ratioing? Yeah, the power ratioing, the power ratioing due to water, due to reduce of water level in the dams and continued power line repairs, so this being like load shedding and blackouts in Tanzania. So Samia Suluhu Hassan decided to fire the electricity board on its entirety. And I think the reason why this really stood out to me is, like, South Africa has a potential to have an impact on its people, to be 10 times impactful on the African continent, or be a powerhouse in the African continent. If we can change leadership, we can have, like, people who have plans. China has like 100-year plans or 10-year plans, the five-year plan, Truman 5-year plan. And I think if we change our policies and we conduct things with plans, and everyone who's coming in power aligns with that, you can't change whatever plan that we have. You just need to work on improving whatever president that comes in. He works on improving, to say he ended up on this, I'm taking it here to whatever, taking it from there to there. We are working gradually towards something bigger and better. I think that's the way to go, in my opinion. So power ratio, for people who don't know, it's the supercharge and disconnecting from electrical supply, for those of you who didn't know, which is like load shedding in short terms, like that's load shedding, being disconnected to power supply due to demand and whatever behind it. I know one thing that's going on the internet I want us to talk about. We are just passing. Mawhoo is also trending for the OnlyFans account she had, and I saw the videos. She's got a nice body, and she's just an amazing voice more than anything. I think she was in a stage in her life where she was like doing OnlyFans, and videos came out and people were like, marking, and like, I don't know if they were marking or appreciating her body, and they were saying she has an amazing body, and if she was to go back doing her OnlyFans thing, Godin Fega would go out of business. For those of you who don't know who Godin Fega is, Godin Fega is another porn star who also has an OnlyFans, and he's also in X videos and Pornhub. For those of you who didn't know that, Godin Fega, and he does an episode which is also on Podcast and Chill, where she was being interviewed For those of you who don't know who Prouding Jagger is, can go watch on that interviews on podcast and chill. So the Palestine solidarity protesters tried to block an Israeli-linked cargo ship using kayaks at Australia's port in the Melbourne city in Australia. So they tried that. It was like, well, guys, sometimes we are just too much. You know, like I know, Buti, there's a lot that's going on in Israel, and maybe people who can afford to be in Israel to support the people who can afford to be in Palestine to, you know, support them. They're doing that through social media. And for those who are within certain industries, they're like, yeah, we are going to protest, show support. And the guys who were doing that with kayaks, I think it's people who were in support, people who are working hand in hand with people in Palestine to show what they're showing support, and it got a huge media coverage from that, you know what I mean? So yeah, guys, I just wanted to cover that, you know, to support that. We are with Palestine, and I saw what was covered on, you know, overseas television in Colorado, something which was seen in a mountain, which has a possibility that it's Bigfoot, but no reports have been issued out to confirm Guti that's actually Bigfoot, you know. So, but we'll wait on reports on that, and if there's a story there, we'll keep on updating you guys. So, Will Smith, I was supposed to also touch on Will Smith, you know, with regards to the Uncle Phil episode on Fresh Prince, and how that was how crucial Uncle Phil was to Will Smith's career in acting. You know, he was, like he said himself, he was the least experienced actor in, you know, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. He was the least experienced, as opposed to like Uncle Phil, who had like immense experience, you know. And one of the proudest moments that he was a part of is when Will Smith's father passed on, and he was crying once said, and Uncle Phil actually told him, like, use me, cry. And they went on to shoot that scene, and after that scene, Will killed it, obviously, and he was crying when that scene. Will really did use Uncle Phil on that scene, and he pulled it off very nicely. And Uncle Phil actually gave him a pat on the back for the first time, and he was saying is that this is how you act, you know. And that was the start for Will Smith in everything. Amongst other things, I'd say, but Will Smith is the first rapper to win a Grammy, for those of you who didn't know. So I'd like to also expand in his interview. He was saying, you know, someone has to lay that part for you. And he was saying, Black Coffee open up a road for Sbanban, Oskido open up a road for, you know, people like Maporisa, Kabza, you know, he opened up for Youngstana, and hopefully Youngstana will do that, and that cycle will continue. There'll always be that. And with the situation with Will Smith and Uncle Phil, who is known by his government name as James Every, who passed on 2023 due to open heart surgery. He was 68 years of age. We need people like those, you know, to say, I'll open the door for you, and we'll open the door for the next person, so forth, so on and so forth, you know what I mean? And this is the last story of the day, you know what I mean? So rumors came out. I know, like, he's still trending on the internet. Pastor TD Jake, he's an amazing pastor. Like, whatever that may come out now, I don't care what people say, but the content that TD Jake's releases is so relevant and so touching, and I'm willing to look aside from everything that's being said, because in this, the word of God, as much as he has so many mistakes that are going on, I'm not saying whatever that's going on with that, or the rumors that are coming out, if those are true, I'm willing to look aside or look away to say, like, this man has given me food for thought for the longest time, the wisdom behind, you know. And if that's a moment of weakness or a spot of weakness for him, like, I'm fine, that's him, and God will deal with him, and if whatever he believes in, whatever, but I'm with him because of the content that he gives in this particular area, you know, which gives me food of thought, and, you know, I feel fulfilled when I listen to him, and I don't go to church and he has like the wisest things to say, and I appreciate him for that, and I'll forever like be grateful for Bishop TD Jakes, regardless of the rumors that are coming out now. Like, I don't care what people say, but I'm saying to you, Guti, I personally, he more than anything brought me closer and closer to God, and to believe and to have that. And the least I can do, if this is true, it's like, you're following the people, or he is a vessel of God and he was communicating. We all have mistakes. We are not perfect. And if this is true, he's not perfect, man. And I don't think it's my place to judge or your place to judge. But, whatever happened, and it's bad even, it's bad if it's true, because he's associated with Diddy. I mean, Diddy is being accused of a lot of things, and Cassie handed off evidence to the federal agent that implicates the pastor's personal life. This is, which is released in a statement, on the TD Jakes party, the Batin Bottom rumor, Cassie released the evidence to the federal agents that implicates the pastor alongside Diddy, and a lot of people were saying even Jay-Z is a part of that, but Jay-Z is calculated. So for those of you who don't know Jacko Wright, go onto YouTube and check out Jacko Wright speaks on Jay-Z, TD Jakes, and Diddy. He was saying that, and amongst other things, that Casey handed over the tapes. He handed over the tapes, of Diddy and banner phones to the FBI, and emails that revealed the sexual encounters with multiple men at comms gatherings. So these are like footages of the pastor with the sexual encounters with multiple men at Diddy's gathering. So yeah, this is TD Jakes, I assume. So I want to address like what a bottom button is. So like allegedly, like the power button, not the bottom button. The power button is what they used to call Pastor TD Jakes in those party or gatherings. So they used to call him that because like in layman's terms, I would say he's the one who is getting penetrated. And when people are doing the deed, he is the one who is getting penetrated. That's why they call it the power button, And for those of you who want a dictionary term for that, so this is what it reads on the dictionary. It is a person who's controlling the tempo of sex along with the depth of the penetration, controlling the depth. So she's the one receiving or the one giving. I'm not sure, but I think what I said before from the explanation that I got from that, I think the first one is, we'll just take the first one because it makes more sense to me. Man, we've had so much to talk about in the episode, and I really enjoyed today's episode talking to you guys. Very informative episodes. Please don't forget to follow, like, and comment, to leave that, guys, in the comment section to get a notification for each and every time we drop a new episode. The song of the day is allowed by NSDC, which was a part of the project or LP that we released in 2016, which is called Bad Hair Stations. The song is allowed, and it's featuring French Montana. It's 2 minutes 59 seconds long. It currently sits at 891,527 on Spotify alone. Shout out to Nesty, shout out to French Montana. And the book of the day, for those of you who are waiting for the book of the day. So the book of the day is The Psychology of Money, The Timeless Lesson of Wealth, which was released on the dates in 2028 September by Morgan Housel, So for those of you, so the ratings of the books are 4.4 over 5 on Goodreads, 5 out of 5 on Take a Lot. On Reader's Warehouse, it's 5 out of 5. Good book overall, and Google users ranked it I'm so sorry for that. They ranked it 96% out of 100, I assume, because they didn't give out the percentage, but I think 100 is, it's 96 out of 100 like this book, which these are like Google users, I would read out the summary, but let me just read out the summary for those of you who want to know the the summary of the book. So this is a brief summary. The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel explores the complexities of the complex relationship between money and human behavior in an accessible way. It offers insight into how we perceive and manage our finances and the impact of emotions on our financial decisions. I'll read that again. I'm so sorry that I had to start off for a bit. So The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel explores the complex relationship between money, human behavior in accessible ways. It offers an insight into how we perceive and manage our finances and the impact of emotions on our financial decisions. That's the brief summary of what the book talks about. I'm your host, Lesego M, Pod, aka Shoot Your Shot, and maybe you might get a chance to call me Danny like Cairo. Please do not forget to follow, like, and subscribe to get a notification for each and every time we drop a new episode. Have a lovely weekend. Cheers.